They were once hailed as symbols of peace, equality, and compassion. The faces that made the world believe Hollywood was a sanctuary of love and freedom. But behind the curtains, the truth was chilling. Some stars regularly assaulted and falsely accused black staff members to ruin their careers. Others shouted live on television that only white people were worthy of standing at the top. And even a humanitarian legend in charity only chose white children, exploiting their image to squeeze more money and tears from the audience. The silver screen had hidden those stains for decades. But now, let us dig up the raw truth. 20 of the worst Hollywood stars of the 1960s, 1970s. Those once were ripped as legends, but in reality carried an extreme racist ideology to the core. 1. Audrey Hepburn, the White Swan. Cold toward black and Asian people. Audrey Hepburn's image in the black dress from Breakfast at Tiffany's, 1961, has long been seen as the epitome of Hollywood elegance. But what few mention is that the film itself carries a racist stain that Hepburn could never escape. The character, Mr. Yunoshi Hepburn's Japanese neighbor, was played by white actor Mickey Rooney in full yellow face, taped-up eyes, buck teeth, exaggerated accent. At the time, Hollywood labeled it comedy, but for Japanese communities and Asian audiences, it was a blatant insult. Director Blake Edwards later admitted he regretted it, and the anniversary DVD even included a feature titled Mr. Yoshin Asian Perspective to analyze this mistake. The question remains, why was such a choice easily approved in 1961? In the post-World War II climate, with memories of the Pacific War still raw in the American public's mind, Japanese people were still viewed with suspicion. In that atmosphere, the Japanese neighbor was distorted into a caricature, while Hepburn, the symbol of purity, stood in stark contrast, making the white swan shine brighter against a distorted Asian backdrop. The consequences linger to this day. Many rescreenings of Breakfast at Tiffany's now carry warnings that the film contains racist elements. Some theaters even cut or shorten Mr. Yunoshi scenes to avoid backlash. In film studies, Hepburn's Holly, Go Lightly, is often cited as a prime example of how Hollywood polished white beauty by turning Asians into objects of ridicule. Bitterly ironic, in her later years, Hepburn devoted herself to UNICEF, advocating equality for children worldwide. Yet the dust of yellowface from Breakfast at Tiffany's still shadows her career. It leaves the public asking how many of Hollywood's saintly icons were built on foundations of exclusion. And just as audiences were reeling from the tarnished white swan, John Wayne bluntly revealed his white supremacist ideology without any disguise. 2. John Wayne, the all-American cowboy, openly against blacks, Mexicans, and Native Americans. In May 1971, Playboy published an interview that shocked America. John Wayne, the legendary cowboy, declared, "I believe in white supremacy, at least until the blacks are educated to a point of responsibility." Those chilling words instantly ignited the civil rights movement, with newspapers from the Washington Post to the Los Angeles Times condemning him in fiery edit. But this was no slip of the tongue. Wayne's ideology had surfaced long before. While filming The Alamo in Texas in 1960, he erupted at screenwriter James Edward Grant simply because the script included a Mexican fighter. A crew member later recalled, John slammed his hand on the table and barked, "There's no way American cowboys stand side by side with Mexicans." For Wayne, a pure America meant a white America. No compromise. That worldview tied directly to his political choices. Wayne was a core member of the Motion Picture Alliance, strongly supporting Hollywood's communist witch hunts. He saw the rise of minorities, the civil rights movement, and the wave of Mexican immigration as threats to the American frontier he idolized. His frontier dream turned him from a screen hero into a guardian of an America that wanted only one face on its posters, white. The fallout stretched far beyond the 1960 S7S. More than 40 years later, his legacy remains hotly debated. In 2016, the California State Assembly rejected a proposal to make his birthday John Wayne Day, citing his racist remarks. In 2020, the Orange County Democratic Party passed a resolution calling for his name to be removed from the local airport. These votes show how Wayne's cowboy image has been twisted by his own words into a symbol of division, leaving America to wrestle with whether to keep honoring a man who once openly excluded entire races. And while Wayne shouted his views from the rooftops, another star chose a more subtle path, appeasing conservative audiences by rejecting black racers and lighting Latin colleagues under the bright lights. 3. Paul Newman, the dashing gentleman who catered to conservative audiences. Mention Paul Newman, and people picture piercing blue eyes, the perfect all-American heartthrob, and a string of iconic roles. But behind the glamour, Newman faced accusations that stained his image. In the 1960s, Newman indulged his passion for speed by creating his own racing team. Yet, Sports Illustrated reported in 1972 that for years, his team never accepted a single black driver, despite many talented applicants. A former team member revealed, "We were told to pick faces that fit the image audiences wanted to see. The unspoken meaning was only white." A bigger shock came in 1995, when Newman's personal diary was auctioned in California. In it, he wrote disparagingly about Jim Brown, the black football star turned actor, calling him brutish, never suited to the elegance audiences expect. Those words forced fans to question whether the fair gentleman image was just a facade. Whispers also spread among the Latin community. A Mexican musician recalled preparing for a Los Angeles charity show when Newman quietly told organizers, "Middle-class audiences won't open their wallets if the stage is full of Mexican faces." The rumor raced through the Latin art scene, leaving many colleagues disillusioned and excluded. It turned out that Newman's gentlemanly aura wasn't rooted in compassion, but political calculation. He catered to white conservative audiences to safeguard his image. That shadow revealed that even stars seen as flawless weren't immune to the racial prejudice deeply embedded in Hollywood at the time. And Newman was far from alone. Another so-called legend was about to have his mask torn off. 4. Steve McQueen, the king of cool, who secretly sided with the government against civil rights. In the 1960s, Steve McQueen was worshipped worldwide as the king of cool. His icy blue stare and rebellious motorbike escape in The Great Escape made millions swoon. But FBI files declassified in 2001 revealed a startling truth. McQueen was listed as a reliable informant, providing information on civil rights activists. He attended parties and film sets, then relayed details back to authorities. The motive was clear. Raised poor, once a street kid, McQueen craved acceptance from Hollywood's elite. In an America divided by the civil rights movement, siding with conservative authorities was his safety ticket to secure roles and prestige. For McQueen, career always came before standing with the oppressed. On set, his prejudice surfaced during the filming of The Great Escape, 1963, in Bavaria. McQueen allegedly demanded that a black supporting role be cut, arguing it ruins the film's flow. A crew member later told the Los Angeles Times he wanted the role gone because he didn't believe audiences would accept a black man fighting alongside white soldiers. It wasn't just bias. It was McQueen catering to the tastes of conservative viewers to keep his pure white hero image. In 1967, at a Malibu party, McQueen was overheard disparaging Mexican actors, calling them too shabby looking for war films. At a time when immigration from Mexico was a heated issue, his words aligned him squarely with racist public sentiment. He stayed silent in the press, but Hollywood insiders never forgot. The result, McQueen's cool image was just a mask. He looked rebellious on screen, racing, fighting, defying authority. But off-screen, he bowed to real power, upholding prejudice, and even aiding the government in monitoring civil rights activists. The contradiction made the king of cool a prime example of Hollywood's half-hearted rebellion. Bold for style, never for breaking racial barriers. And while McQueen kept his distance through complicit silence, Rock Hudson built a wall of outright exclusion in his on-screen romances, making discrimination impossible to ignore. 5. James Stewart, the gentle father figure secretly nurturing prejudice to audiences. James Stewart was the warm face of decency, forever playing honest fathers and men of principle. But behind the smile, he chose a political path that still shocks today. Records released from the Ronald Reagan Library in 1993 revealed Stewart had donated $25,000 to a candidate who openly opposed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Wasn't tabloid gossip. The sum was listed in the campaign's official finance ledger. At a time when America was fighting for equality, Stewart's money propped up the old racial order. Rumors also haunted his film sets. During Shenandoah 1965, Stewart allegedly told director Andrew V. McLaglen he didn't want black soldiers shown fighting shoulder to shoulder with whites. A production assistant later wrote in his memoir, he said the black soldiers should stay in the back, not advance, equally. I was stunned to hear that from a man who always played integrity itself. And it went further. Stewart was rumored to oppose giving leading roles to Mexican or Asian immigrant actors. In a private 1978 letter to producer Jack Warner, he wrote, American audiences aren't ready to accept mixing on. When the letter leaked in, V.